Thank you.
Going live,
All
going live. You're live.
all
Good
righty.
morning or good afternoon. This is I'm DJ Hamouris, and we have today Carol Crocker with us on our Dulcimoon Talk number 31. My goodness, we've been doing this
lot.
for a while. Say hi, Carol.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be with you all today.
Yeah. So we're literally coast to coast here. I'm on the left coast, and you're on the right coast. Right. Winston-Salem,
Yes.
North Carolina, home of the mountain dulcimer. All
Yes.
in the Appalachians there.
Yeah.
It's exciting to have you here, Carol.
Well, as I said, it's exciting to be here. I'm really looking forward to spending some time with you all, particularly next year. So
Yeah. We're in the process of announcing our teachers for next year, and Carol will be our mountain dulcimer headliner for not 24 but 25. We plan way ahead.
yes, you have
Dulcimer
to.
25.
Yeah.
I met you at Dulcimer U in 2019.
Is that when it was? It was right before the pandemic. You're right.
Before the pandemic, that's right. It was really sweet to meet you and to hear you. I love your voice.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
A wonderful singer.
Let me guys, I have to stop a minute. My cat is doing a walk across my piano right now, trying to get to my Christmas tree, and I have to head my cat off right now. So hang on just a minute.
Pandemic time, we got used to all the animal hijinks, right?
Yes. She was getting ready. You were getting ready to have some piano notes on here. That was the one thing I didn't do in my room, is close the piano.
They'll find it, won't they?
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah. We love them, though.
Oh, yeah.
So Carol, tell us a little bit about your connection with the dulcimer. How did that happen?
Oh, my story is I guess you could say continually to evolving story, but it began college, but not in earnest. It began with exposure to the instrument. Music. I was a music ed major, and of course, in our education classes, we have to learn to play auto harp and things like that in our music. You heard her. She did it. Now she's off. I can put the piano down. Hold on. Got her. Okay. Sorry about that. But in our music ed classes, and I mean, I'm not going to date myself, but this is even way back at Western Carolina, they had a wonderful music ed program. And the lady that was in charge of our music ed classes, Eva Adcock, I credit for a lot of what I do today. But not only did she expose us to the recorder and things like that, she included the music of the Appalachian Mountains. So I saw the dulcimer, heard her play that. And then during my music ed class, and then my first student teaching experience, which was right off campus from Western Carolina University at Camp Lab School, the lady who was my cooperating teacher, Diana Fisher, was also a dulcimer player.
Oh my.
And she played with a little group or a band. And so I, got to see it. She was also clogging, and I ended up with a clogging team dumped in my lap. So I clogged, and, I was exposed, of course. I did her maternity leave. My first job was doing her maternity leave. Yeah, so we had a junior high clogging team. So immediately I was immersed into the music of the area. But then when I left, there's a big gap in my history between there. I left, moved to Hickory, got married, children, and teaching, of course, was spending a lot of time with that. And I didn't get back to the dulcimer until we had a heritage day at one of my schools. And lo and behold, my room was right off the library. The program was in the library. My classes were in the library. So I thought, well, I'll just sit in here and wait and see, some of the program and wait for my class. There was a mountain dulcimer player there. And of course, I was just excited to see the instrument again. I hadn't seen it since college. And I was so excited to see it again. After the program, he took the whole time, so I didn't have my class. And so afterwards, he got me sitting down with him and playing the dulcimer. And so that brought me back into the world of the dulcimer. And it so happened there was a dulcimer week at Appalachian State University. And he told me about that. So I went up to Appalachian State University that summer with, and I'll have to say it was a dulcimer shaped object I had. And I think you know about those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I went up there and learned a little bit more and tried to bring it back, of course, with my students. I knew just enough to be dangerous. I could teach them, of course, buy them cabbage. And I ended up putting some of my kids' songs on the dulcimers, a couple of their songs that they sang that, didn't use more than 5 frets. We were in DAA at the time. So I put some of those on the dulcimer for them to play, and actually a couple North Carolina songs that fit the mountain dulcimer. There was one, Hopple Squirrel. Three frets, 3 notes that I would use with my students. So I brought that back. And of course, I was having a whole class using only how many dulcimers I could scare up, like at that point in time was only a few. So, but they were always so excited to see the instrument. They didn't mind sharing. I think I had a cardboard one and 2 other ones that I had a chance to play, and my journey continued. There was a gentleman who came to our school, and I was talking to him about I didn't have enough dulcimers. So he said, well, why don't you come out to my shop and, we'll build one together. And he lived in Newton Conover, which is right near us in Hickory. And he helped me build actually a Corton dulcimer. You probably can see it back here on the wall. Yeah. So in the heat of the summer, I was out in his little shed building a Corton dulcimer. And he did not charge me a thing. He said, you're going to go back and use it with the kids, which I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it amazing the amount of generosity that the dulcimer community has
Oh,
and generates?
yeah. I have to tell you this experience. And Toll knew this lady. Anna Berry was my first teacher at Appalachian. Her name is Anna Berry, and she's actually authored a dulcimer book that I play a couple of things out of. But anyway, she was my first kind of beginner beyond beginner teacher at the time. And when I came up there with that dulcimer shaped object, she obviously knew I was frustrated after the first day. It had wooden pegs that, of course, most of them did, but the pegs were not holding. And she knew I was frustrated. The next day, she brought me a very nice cherry dulcimer. And she said, hey, I'm going to let you use this week because I know you really want to learn to play. And I said, yeah, thanks. And turns out that dulcimer is a Clifford Glenn dulcimer. He's one of the historic builders that Ralph Lee Smith has included in his book. At the end of the week, this is generosity. She gave me that dulcimer. She gave me that dulcimer. The class went up to Clifford Glenn's shop. I couldn't go because I was commuting back and forth, which was an hour and a half commute at that time. So I couldn't go to the afternoon, and I had my kids at home. She gave me that dulcimer at the end of the week. The generosity, it's there.
Yeah, it's completely there.
Yeah.
Generosity of spirit, generosity of creativity, and being among teachers who are really teachers.
Yeah.
That one of the things I love is that I can listen with my teacher's ear in a way that people who would listen to it and go, well, there's not much going on. I'm like, you don't understand where this person's come from.
Yes, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on there, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, yes. And that ear, through teaching music at school, I've been able to apply that ear to what the mountain dulcimer, things that I hear, I've been able to transfer. And, I've had people ask me, how did you hear that? And I'm going, I've just learned to listen for things, it's more than just the melody. There's a lot going on that you can listen for. Yeah.
Exactly. And what grades of school did you teach?
I have taught everything from kindergarten through college, believe it or not. We are certified K through 12 as music ed. And so my beginning was in elementary school. I taught K through 6 at the time. It was K through 6. Um, moved, taught K through 6 again, moved again, taught middle school general music, which was not exactly my favorite.
Yeah.
That was the class that everybody got dumped in that didn't take band, orchestra, or chorus. So I ended up with that. Oh, before I moved, I forgot about that. I did a stint, probably about 5 years in high school. 6 years, excuse me, 6 years high school choral music. And I was teaching elementary at the same time. I was at elementary school in the afternoon, in the morning, and the high school in the afternoon. Talk about a change. Yeah. I
Yeah.
did that for a while. And then after I moved here to Winston-Salem, I ended up getting in with Winston-Salem State. I've taught a couple of music ed things there at Winston-Salem State. And of course, Winston-Salem State, Appalachian, UNC Greensboro, they have sent me many a student teacher from those institutions that are nearby. So I kind of done everything, a little of all of it.
And you're still teaching?
Yes.
Yes, you might
I'm
not be in
teaching
the
adults. Yes.
What does a typical week look like for you, Carol?
Oh, wow. It's a pretty busy week. I have lessons pretty much straight through on like Monday. Tuesday, I have a couple lessons, but I don't have a heavy day because that's the day we go to volunteer. We play at the NICU for the babies at one of our hospitals. And yeah, they look forward to the nurses, I think, too, look forward to us being there. We play there and some at the other part of the hospital sometime on Tuesday afternoons. So I try to keep my Tuesday fairly light. I know those are days. And then Wednesday, we do an adult day center once a month, but then I have lessons the other time. So kind of interspersed in between a couple lessons on Thursday. And actually, I have 2 piano students that I teach during the week.
Cool.
Yeah, 2 adult piano students. So I do a little of all. And then by Friday afternoon, I try to take a little time on Friday afternoon for me, myself, and I. So that's kind of my typical week. Then my week is, believe it or not, is not over. I have enjoyed, and I almost wore their shirt today, working with Send in the Music on Saturday afternoons, the Send in the Music online jam that Pat Clark started and is still going strong after what, 2020? We're still going strong.
2021, 2022, 2023 is almost over.
Yeah, right. So I enjoy spending time with the Send in the Music. Lately, it's been a little bit tough, with family things going on to get there. But whenever I can, I spend time with them, and I miss it when I'm not with them. So
right. So when you say we go to the NICU or to the adult daycare center, etc., this is your group that you've been playing with?
Yes, it's a group.
Talk about that.
Yeah, my group is called Appalachian Strings, and I'm actually decided to wear their shirt today. But my group is called Appalachian Strings, and it kind of fell into some of my students wanted to play out of their lessons. They wanted to share their music in the community, and I'm going, I don't know if I really want to do that, but they wanted to play in other places. So finally, I said, okay. And we started with just a handful of us that were my students. And we didn't have a name at that time, but, we would go to a couple venues, to play things that I knew, particularly the adult day center, because my mom had Alzheimer's, and that was a place that was near and dear to my heart, because they do deal with memory. It's a memory care, but there are other day center group participants as well. Some who, maybe in wheelchairs and their families just need a break. But that center became near and dear to my heart. So that was one of the first places I invited up. Hey, come join me over here. And so we continued. And the word of mouth kind of got around. Hey, I heard you're playing them. Can I come play with you? Yeah, okay. And then we started being asked to play beyond our community. And somebody asked me, what's the name of your group? I don't have a name for my group. So we kind of canvassed the group and we came up with Appalachian Strings. And it's grown. We've got about 20 of us that, at various venues throughout the area. We've played festivals, et cetera, like a fall festival kind of thing. So between things that are out in the community, I can usually get at least 7 or 8 players to join me, and more. We were the last thing we did at Old Salem, which I have to tell you about.
Yeah.
There were 13 of us, 14 of us, almost, the entire group was at Old Salem. So, and that's a special place as well.
Right. You were talking about that.
Yeah, we came up with a name and we decided to officially, look like we are a group sometimes. And one of my students' husband designed our shirt. So it's
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah. But Appalachian Strings. And I don't know if I have time, but our connection with Old Salem.
Yeah, please.
Old Salem is a Moravian community here, a living, working Moravian community that is a historic community. It dates back into the mid 1700s. I think 1760 something or other is it when the community was actually founded. And it's part of where Winston-Salem, the history of Winston-Salem, Salem, that's the name where Salem comes from, the old Salem community. And it was a group of Moravians that came down, migrated down this area and settled in this area. Of course, we still have lots of historic buildings around. And there, they actually are still reenacting and working, and it's a working community. The joiner is still building furniture for anybody around. The blacksmith is doing things. There's a jewelry, pottery, all kinds of things. The bakery is very well known. And it's an old big oven bakery. So it's a very important part of our community, the living, working community. And so we have had a connection with them. One of my students used to work there, but I think many of you know part of the thoughts and the history of the dulcimer is the Scheitholt, which is a German instrument. And there is a Scheitholt there in their collection at Old Salem. So we've been able to make that historic connection. And I think one of the joiners that used to work there actually built another Scheitholt prototype that was similar. So we have a very strong historic connection with the dulcimer and the Scheitholt. And we've really enjoyed that connection with Old Salem. They have invited us to be part of several of their important events. They had a Moravian festival this summer, and there was an all-day festival. My group played there for them. They just had their big Christmas day. Lots of folks there, and we were there at one of the houses playing there this past weekend. So I've enjoyed that historic connection with my group and Old Salem.
So I've heard Moravian or Moravia, but I do not know. Is this a country, a religion?
It's more of a religion. And I'm thinking it is probably, as I said, maybe German roots with the religion. I'm not as familiar with it either, but it is, it's a belief, kind of like you've got the Baptists and the Methodists, each has their, the Lutherans have their own beliefs and rooted in some historic fashion. So that's what I'm thinking the Moravian community is. These group of Moravians, of course, were an offshoot and settled in this area.
Right.
And that's where the community, as I said, has a pretty strong hold. There are many, many Moravian communities here and more. Let's see, I know you probably see this star that has lots of points to it that a lot of people may have, I guess replicated, but it's a big star that has lots of points, geometric points. And I think that was actually developed somewhere earlier in maybe Germany, somebody doing some math with it that came up, but that's their star that you see around a lot. So it's, I guess, more of a religious idea or community. Yeah.
Okay. Now I have to look that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a Moravian star that I'm looking at it right now. One of my children had to build for a math project, and they had to do all the calculations for it. So it's
Interesting.
2 seconds. I think I can get it right quick.
Okay.
Uh, Here it is. This is what, oh, there
Oh
you
my
go.
goodness.
Yeah,
That's 360 degrees.
yeah, right. This is it.
Wow.
And this is the famous Moravian star. Yeah, and
I
one
was
of my children
picturing
had to
more
do
of
this.
the like the hex signs that people
Yeah,
put in
yeah,
their barns, but
yeah.
nope. Wow.
This is it. And it's on top, one of our hospitals here has that star on top of the hospital, Baptist, well, it's called Atrium now. But anyway, because of the Moravian community, my child had to actually build that. And as much time as it took building that, we kept it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
So what do you, I know I met you, as I said, at Dulcimer U in 2019. That's in Cullowhee,
Yep,
Cullowhee. It's
Cullowhee.
Western North Carolina University. Is that right?
Western Carolina University is what it's just called.
Okay.
WCU, Carolina University.
Right. And it's on the western edge of North Carolina.
Yeah,
And the
yes.
next state over is Kentucky? No,
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
It depends on which way you go. Where we're located.
Uh-huh.
Tennessee is one way, and believe it or not, the tip of Georgia is not very far.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it's quicker. And on that end of the state, that part of the state that sticks out, it's actually closer almost to Georgia than it is to get to my house. It is closer
Wow.
to Georgia, but I can get to Atlanta probably almost as fast as I can get to my house.
I
Yeah.
remember that when I flew out, I thought
Yeah.
we really should have just stopped in Atlanta and driven from there.
Right. Yes,
It
it's
would have
not
been
very far at all.
just as easy. Yeah.
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 So it's kind of a
And
tri-state area there.
and that's the university you graduated from?
Yes, Western
Um,
Carolina. I
yeah.
got my BS degree, Bachelor of Science degree in music education at Western Carolina. And my husband and I have kept a pretty, strong connection to the university ever since. We've
Mhm.
been a big part of, remaining active with the university. So that's.
So the other thing I wanted to talk about is you have taken some African American songs and put together some mountain dulcimer tablature. Talk to me
Yeah.
about that project.
Okay. The project actually came out of me being a singer
Right.
and listening to my mom sing a lot of these spirituals and actually classically arranged versions of these spirituals. My mom was a singer, and she and my uncle would do concerts, which was unusual in the 40s for an African American group. My aunt would accompany them on keyboard, on piano and organ. And my aunt and my mom and my uncle would give these concerts. So I grew up hearing these wonderful arrangements of many African American spirituals. And of course, as part of my history with church as well, but particularly the concert versions, and the variety of spirituals. So when I started looking to do some of the things that I enjoyed singing that I learned from my mom, I was not finding much out there. I could find He's Got the Whole World in His Hand, and pretty much the ones that everybody knows, Go Tell It on the Mountain. But some of these wonderfully, beautifully arranged spirituals were not there. So I thought, okay, I need to do this. I want to sing these. I want to share these. So I started compiling them and tabbing them, and using them when I could use them. My group plays some of them. I play some of them. Uh, but it ended up, I had a whole bunch of them sitting on my computer. And I thought, well, okay, let's put them together. So I started putting the books together, and I now have two books of
Yeah.
Songs of the Spirit, book one and book two. And they're not, as I said, the well-known spirituals. Some of them are, but a lot of them are not to us. And I wanted to expose, everyone to the world of spirituals out there. There's a huge world of spirituals out there that are just gorgeous. They're beautifully arranged.
Mhm.
Um, spirited, beautiful, reflective, all kinds of different styles of spirituals. And so I try to include those in my book. And believe it or not, I probably have enough more on my computer to look for volume 3, but that's how it came about. The other part, if I'm not talking too much, but the other part is in researching where some of these spirituals originated, you can find a little bit. I was finding a lot of them were coming out of the Sea Islands area along the coast. Charleston, Georgia, the Sea Island area, these St. John's Island, St. Timmins, all of these islands that are on the border of our East Coast. I was seeing something, where came from such and such, and this came from such and such. And I started scratching my head. Oh, okay. And then I went back on some of the things I had done at school. A lot of the children's singing games, the hand clapping games that my kids, I would teach them, they were from the Sea Islands. And so I'm thinking, okay, there's something here and a connection. So I've started trying to do a little bit with that part of the spiritual aspects. That community is also pretty much intact as it was. Yeah. There's very, very little. I mean, the things that you hear today and see today, of course, the sweetgrass baskets are things that they did back in the 1800s and still do today because the islands are so isolated. And so that's really neat to find the music still intact as well. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I've had the pleasure and privilege of meeting and hearing Melanie DeMore, who is a local here, and she was part of Linda Tillery and the Cultural Heritage Choir. Familiar with them at all?
No, I'm
okay.
not. But I just know I'm scratching the surface and learning more. The Gullah Festival, the Gullah culture. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm writing this down as I say, Melanie DeMore.
Melanie DeMore, and she brought to the Linda Tillery and the Cultural Heritage Choir, which toured extensively for many years in folk festivals. But what she brought to it was the sticks, the Gullah sticks. And I had no idea what was going on, but I really loved that was the only instrument besides their voices.
That's their voices. Yeah.
So there was like 5 singers, and then she would have 1 or 2 sticks jump,
jumping out. Yeah, right.
Jump. And she really opened my eyes to the Gullah culture. And I'm so happy to hear that you are connecting also to the Sea Isles and that deep history and culture of these isolated pockets.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of it, as I said, I didn't even know. I've been singing many of these songs for years, and I didn't even know some of the connections, with the Sea Islands as well. And to see the Sea Island singers do the songs, perform them, like you said, and with hers, all they have is hand clapping, that their body percussion, or as you said, that the stick that they used. Very little outside instruments are used. Some of the early music, you didn't see many of it. No, you don't see banjos. Not a lot. No, you don't see guitars. It's just pretty much percussion, body percussion.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I will shoot you a bunch of links and maybe connect the two of you, because I think she would be very interested in how you are putting that into the modern mountain dulcimer movement.
Right. Yeah.
And the modern mountain dulcimer movement is different than when you first connected with it, right?
It is so different than when I first connected with it. Pretty much Appalachian music, fiddle tunes, some of Gene Ritchie's songs. It's really, really changed a lot. So we're amplified, of course, and electrified now, but much different than when I first began. But still, the music that's, from then even to now, it sounds beautiful on the instrument. It's such a versatile instrument. So bringing that aspect to the dulcimer has been a joy. Has been a joy for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fantastic, and it appeals to all ages too.
Right. From elementary steps, when I have people say, I never learned to play. And I'm going, oh, yeah, you can. So my kids, when I remember starting them, I tell them about the kits, that you could buy. I have, got them started on buying kits. So from young folks to older folks, we have so many people that ask about the instruments, and it's not a difficult instrument to teach and learn. Yeah.
No.
And enjoy.
I'm really excited personally because I'm going to be starting teaching at the Berkeley Adult School here in Berkeley, California. And some of my students are getting together with us, and we're putting together 8 of the kits. So I have owners for them.
Yeah.
So it's, the possibility of building community is always present. And I love the way that you've done that with your students and the Appalachian strings. It's so much easier to play with other people.
It is.
To play
and I think when they see others playing, they're going, maybe, I could learn to do that. And the other day when we played at the hospital, a lady came up and stopped, and she says, my sister plays and she wants a group to play with. I said, yes, come join us, So I gave her my contact information, and she, her sister was looking for someone to play with. So it's such a nice community to be a part of.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And I'm so grateful to have met you and to encountered you through all the online events that we've been both part of since March 2020.
Yes.
And it's because of that and you're sending the music connection that we asked you to be our headlining mountain dulcimer teacher for 2025.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for that invitation.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I would be remiss if I didn't say 2024, we're doing January 12th through 14th. The second Dulcimoon Virtual Dulcimer Festival. Go to dulcimoon.com. It's not hard to spell, dulcimoon.com. And we still have registration open until January 3rd.
It's until the 3rd. Okay, good to know that.
Registration's open till the 3rd. Okay. And we've got concerts, we've got kids events. We've got both Sarah Kate Morgan and Erin Mae Lewis, who are so used to dealing with playing with the kids.
Yes,
the Dulcimer community. So we've got those free events for everybody in the Dulcimer community who's got kids associated with it. And I'm so excited to end this year of talks with you as we're looking ahead to a 3rd festival.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's great. I'm so glad you started this festival. And what I like, of course, is the involvement with women, in the Dulcimer community. I think that is so neat and so unique.
Well, the fact is that in most Dulcimer classes I've ever been in or taught in, at least 75% are women.
Yes.
Yes. And it just is, I think representation is important at the head of the classroom. So we do that. This is our
That's great.
But y'all welcome. Y'all welcome.
All are welcome. Men too. I know.
Well, of course, everybody, the whole family, grandma, grandpa, down to the kids. So right. Make it available.
And I like the kids part. I really do like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Erin Mae and Sarah Kate are just so good with the kids.
Yeah. Well, some of the things that I had learned from teaching with children, we did put into the book. Judy House and I put into a book, Dulcimer in the Schools. And some of the things because of the lesson planning with folks, that's the first thing they know. How do you do a lesson plan if you're going to put these in the schools? So I even put some sample lesson plans of things, how I did it and, how I would teach my students. So we even put together a book with Dulcimers in the Schools, working with children.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, so how do people find your materials?
On my website, except I'm very remiss in putting my second book out there on my website.
Okay, well, they can look forward to it. So what is it?
carolcrockermusic.com.
carolcrockermusic.com.
And I am getting ready to record the second CD. I have a CD recording of the first book I did because some of the spirituals are not very well known. And so I'm doing the same thing now. One of my students, her husband has a studio. And so we're talking and getting ready to start the recording of the second book and the CD for that. So look for that coming out this year sometime, in the new year sometimes.
That's fantastic. Those sound files are so important.
Yeah, those sound files. And I know when I've taught online festivals, particularly some of the songs that aren't very well known, a lot of folks, they want that recording of that song, or how does it go? Can you send me the video of it so I can remember how the song goes? Because they are not all very well known. Yeah.
Right. And what does your 2024 look like as far as dulcimer teaching and performing?
Well, actually, it's pretty quiet right now. Joe Collins just called me, and so I'm going to do his Midwinter Festival down in Shelby, North Carolina. And, of course, there's always quarantine. I'm not going to be teaching at this quarantine. That was my time to rotate off. So maybe at some point in time, I'll probably be back with quarantine. And so this year is going to be kind of a quiet year, which I'm looking forward to, believe it or not. I don't know yet whether or not I'll be teaching at Western Carolina University at Dulcimer U. But I'm looking forward to the quiet year. Last year was difficult because I had some family things going on. So I had some things going on last year. So right now it's, pretty wide open. I'd love to come teach your festival. If you want me to come, I'm here. I have a wide open schedule this year.
Yeah, Carol is a really, well, you're such a sweet soul. And I really appreciate you taking the time. And
Thank you.
I love learning about how you and your dulcimer journey together.
Yes. And we're
Okay.
still journeying together.
Yes, exactly. It is in the present tense.
Yes, it is.
All right. Thanks so much, Carol. I appreciate you taking the time this morning. And this will be available on YouTube as replay. If you found the link to this for the live stream, it's the same link. So we're there, and you can subscribe to the Dulcimoon channel, YouTube at Dulcimoon, and we'd love to have you there. Thanks so much, Carol.
Thanks so much, DJ. I really enjoyed being with you today.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.